right, Nick, let's talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers. A lot of exciting news involving the Pittsburgh Steelers lately. A lot of great updates on a lot of players, but I think there's one thing in particular that Steelers fans are finally glad this team has started to address and really have done a great job thus far, and that is the offensive line. We have a great update on the offensive line and one of the Steelers draft picks as well. Let's get into the article and we can talk about it more on the other side. This, of course, from NBC Sports. It says, in each of the last two NFL drafts, the Steelers have used their first-round pick on a player who played left tackle in college. In 2023, that was Broderick Jones, who is now the Steelers' starting left tackle. In 2024, it was Troy Fautanu, who will move to right tackle in Pittsburgh. The move to the other side can be difficult for linemen, but Steelers offensive line coach Pat Meyer says Fautanu has made fast progress in figuring out how to play on the right side. He said Troy's learned a lot of different techniques very quickly, Meyer said via ESPN. The first couple of days, his timing was off because the speed of the game is different. Now we don't have any pads on yet, so nothing's going to be determined until we get into camp, but his timing is much better in terms of his get off and run game and his sets and throwing his hands and being aggressive with his hands and whatnot. He's improved tremendously from rookie minicamp to now. The Steelers are optimistic that they've found their two starting offensive tackles for many years to come. Nick, I think this is incredible. I'm glad that not only has he adapted to the speed of the NFL, but on an opposite side of the football that he is accustomed to as well. I think this is great news for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Curious what your thoughts on this one are, but before we get to you, Nick, Steelers fans, in the comment section below, let us know, who is your favorite Steelers offensive lineman of all time? There's a lot of really great answers. I think we're going to get a lot of variety in the comments, but let us know, who is your favorite Steelers offensive lineman of all time in the comment section below. While you're down there, check out the description below the video to see our list of our recommended NFL related books. There's a lot of great autobiographies about coaches and commentators, college coaches, legendary guys, as well as some books that break down the inner workings of the NFL or break down the game of football itself. Check those out in the description below the video. But Nick, what are your thoughts on this latest rookie for the Steelers?
Look, I think it's an outstanding sign. Improvement, of course, while it's expected, it's always welcome to hear, of course. There's always some worrying times. Sometimes we see rookies come in and they kind of struggle, not just in rookie minicamp, but all through minicamps and OTAs. And then you're just kind of like, oh, geez, I mean, do we have a real problem here? And the fact that Fautanu is improving is, of course, a great sign. But I want to focus on a few comments that are specifically talking about timing and getting the timing down. That is the most important element of playing offensive line, right? There's only two factors that you have to hit if you're going to be at least a solid offensive lineman at any level, college, pro, high school, little league, whatever. It's intelligence, know the play. Can you go on the right guy? Can you actually execute the play, as it's called? And number two, timing. Right? We know Fautanu's a smart guy. Washington ran a complex offense, a very downfield aggressive offense. We know, obviously, a guy doesn't become a first-round pick if teams don't think he's a smart dude. So intelligence is fine. We know that box is checked. Timing is always the one question mark, and timing is so underrated in terms of offensive line play. How long do you stay on a double team until you come off on a linebacker, right? You stay on too long, linebacker goes unblocked. If you come off too early, the double team gets split, the play gets blown up, right? How about in pass protection? When's the timing in terms of shooting your hands, right? The relationship between you and a pass set and the defender as he's coming close to you. You know, the timing in terms of when you run him upfield or when you post your inside foot in the ground to stop a bull rush. All those elements are so critically important. People don't think about it all the time. It's so weird to me that evaluators, they always focus on, let me talk about his arm length, or let me talk about his knee bend or his hip bend or something like that. I want to see how the guy understands timing and angles and relationships, right? If he can figure all that out, the timing element of it, the knee bend, the arm length, the grip strength, all that will work out in time. And the fact that Fautanu has the timing down and is progressing the right direction, that is so critically important, and that is such a great sign for the Steelers offense, because if you've got timing and intelligence, if you have those two boxes checked, you can function at tackle in the NFL, right? Even if you don't do a great job, even if you get blown up a little bit at times, if you get a hat on a hat and time it the right way, you will function as an offense. You will function as an offensive lineman. Those are the preliminary boxes you have to check, and I think that's a great sign for the Steelers that Fautanu has both of them already done.
Yeah, Nick, and I mean, I think we can't really touch on enough that not only is this guy switching from college to the NFL, he necessarily wasn't in, you know, some what we would call the bigger conferences in college football, especially nowadays. He wasn't an SEC guy, wasn't a Big Ten guy, but, you know, Pac-12, there's a lot of great teams there as well, so I don't want to discount it. But this is a guy who didn't only come up from college and NFL, but switching sides. So the fact that this guy really is starting to put it together so early with so many obstacles in his way, I think just bodes very well for the Steelers. I know a lot of people love this pickup when they made it early on in the draft, but I think the more and more we hear about a guy like Fautanu, the more and more we see him early on in camp, I think this could be a really special pick. I know we asked, you know, at the beginning of the broadcast, who's your favorite Steelers offensive lineman of all time? But the more time goes on, the more we get to hear about Fautanu. Makes me think maybe potentially this is a guy who could grow into being one of those favorite offensive linemen, one of the legendary Pittsburgh Steelers offensive linemen in history, just with how good he sounds, how fast he's picking stuff up. I really think this guy could develop into being a special player.